Hey y'all, happy Friday. So I'm gonna tie in just a couple of other things. It just keeps growing and growing and building and building and building. And it's really good news. It's really good news that you and I have right to be children of God. This is not something that somebody just said, yes, you're a child of God. But no, by order and careful calculations, God made a plan before the foundation of the earth to reconcile or to make things right between us and God. And it's Jesus. Jesus was the peace that he put in place to restore us, to bring us back, to make it a favorable position, and so that we are no longer outsiders. I'm going to read that again. Ephesians 2:19. This is from the Amplified Translation. Therefore, you are no longer outsiders, exiles, migrants, and aliens, excluded from the rights of citizens. Remember in verse 12 we read that at one time you were separated, living apart from Christ, excluded from all part in him, utterly estranged and outlawed from the rights of Israel as a nation, strangers with no share in the sacred compacts of the Messianic promise, with no knowledge or right in God's agreements, his covenants, and you had no hope, no promise. You were in the world without God. But now, since Jesus, we are no longer outsiders, but we now share citizenship with the saints, God's own people, consecrated and set apart for himself, and you belong to God's own household. Now, a couple of things that I love about this is that Jesus brought us in to covenant with God. We are now citizens with rights. When you become an American citizen, there are certain rights that come with that. That's the way it's intended to be. That's the way our founding fathers set it up. And the same thing in other countries. If you are a citizen of that nation, you have particular rights as a citizen. Not because of anything else, but because you are a citizen of that nation. And now we belong to God's own household. And we're not outsiders looking in. But now we have been brought into citizenship. We share that with the saints of God. Now I'm going to read, let's go to Isaiah 9, verse 6. And so this is, if I read this verse, you'll say, that's a Christmas verse. What in the world does that have to do with anything? So Isaiah 9, 6. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of peace there shall be no end. You know, Satan has us think that government's a dirty word and that you can't use it in the church and that there's not in the Bible. But this actually uses the word government twice in 2 verses. And so tying in what we read in Ephesians, that we have been made citizens of the kingdom of God. Citizens have rights. And we've read that from Psalm 34:10, that we seek the Lord by right of our need and on the authority of his word. In Isaiah 9:6, Isaiah prophesies about Jesus, the Messiah. For unto us a child is born, a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. The upholding of the kingdom is upon him. and of the increase of his government, of his rule, of his kingdom, there shall be no end. And so when Satan tries to, hinder us from approaching the Father, hinder us from asking or to making our requests known, that, it's too much, or God's not enough, or he doesn't have that for you, or what right do you have? Well, this is my right. And that the government and the holding together of the kingdom of God is on the shoulders of Jesus the Messiah. It's not up to me to make it happen, to be strong enough for it to happen, to ensure that there are enough resources for whatever my request may be. It's on Jesus. It's on his shoulders. And I am fully persuaded, I am 100% confident that he is strong enough to uphold all things. And so, in our broken system in America, the handouts end somewhere, right? The government cannot fully meet the needs of the people. Oh, but in the kingdom of God, Jesus is well able to fully meet the needs of his people. Whew. It's a good place to stop. We'll end here and pick up next week. I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.